Peter Buey here, and welcome back to the Learn Cardano podcast. This episode, I'm chatting with Eddie Carr, who has also teamed up with Avatar Nick to deliver Whimsy Estate. Now, this is a real-world asset play tokenizing real estate. Eddie has already gone ahead and purchased the first property in Belize and is almost ready with the platform itself, coming towards MVP, ready to launch to allow users to start looking into assets, tokenizing real estate around the world. I do encourage you all to look into the white paper itself. I'll put links down below for all of that. Check out the website and everything else around Whimsy Estate. Keep up to date with everything that they're doing on their X profile. Again, thank you for joining in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, click that notification bell on your way in, and let's get into this interview.
This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
All right, sell me Whimsy Estate.
So Whimsy is a fractionalized real estate platform for investing in fractionalized assets. We're focusing on the real estate market. So every property that we source is listed on the platform. It could be a new construction, or it could be an existing property of a multi-unit approach, because the purpose of everything is for long-term or short-term renting. And the goal is to purchase these shares of these properties and be able to get a little bit of slice of the pie as if you were a micro landlord.
All right. So with this, there's a lot of people that are doing this real estate play at the moment and fractionalizing the ownership of it. So you mentioned they're being saved for rentals. So like, is the main play of this rental yield across all of the properties that you guys get?
Correct. That's the goal. So there's no promises, obviously, right? You could have a property without a tenant. You could have properties that, act of God strikes it off the face of the earth. Obviously, insurance will cover that. But yeah, that's really the goal. As we source these properties, we look at really good markets or markets that are on the uptrend. And the goal is to really fill them up with tenants, get rental income, and just disperse that amongst the holders.
So how does that revenue distribution work? Because it is what's the legals behind that? Because there's got to be something around this, because you can't just revenue share across all the different owners of the properties.
Yeah, you can't, at least not in the U.S. So we do operate out of the U.S. So we are going to be fully SEC and FINRA compliant. I'm currently going back and forth with my lawyers. It's a very, very long process, more than I expected. But talking to the government, big Gary Gensler on the other side of that. So he says there's a way. Let's see if there is, right? So far, the way that we're going about it is we are registering a form of series LLCs. So it's think of it like one master LLC that owns all the other LLCs, and each LLC holds a property. Normally, you could just do this fractionalized investment as an asset, and you just buy and hold the property, don't put a tenant in it, don't expect any rental income. You just hope the appreciation goes up or down. Then you got Pokemon cards, but with real estate, which you could do fully legal, fully asset-based, and not considered a security. If anything, it's in the commodity space. But because we are intending to rent these properties out, there is an income component to that. And it's very difficult to say we promise nothing, but we're renting them. So there is money. Like it's an obvious yes, there's something coming in. So because of that, it is a security, and we are going down the official route to make sure that these are properly registered, they're compliant, and we don't make anybody mad that has the power to shut us down.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? That's the goal. Okay, does this mean people have to KYC through the process because the SEC? You are going through the SEC route. Yes,
so there will be. And what's funny enough is that SEC doesn't care about KYC as much as FINRA does. So FINRA is like the security dog. Like they're making sure everything's correct, everything smells right. They go through the offerings and make sure that we get approvals. Also, transfer agents will operate from that space for reporting of who owns what. But the KYC is necessary. I think, especially now that we're talking about RWAs and attaching something digital into a physical item, you need to have something protecting that digital item from it just being rugged from under you. Because if there's nothing legal attaching you, the individual, to that property, what do you actually own, right? So the fact that we're doing the KYC, we're doing our due diligence, we're making sure we're getting everything correctly transferred to you after you purchase it, that ensures that you actually have a piece of the pie. That is literally yours. You can look yourself up. You can go on the Edgar. You can see your information. You can see who an owner is. But that being said, we also still allow international and businesses. So if you come in and you set up your business and you want to have an account for it, it's just a different tax classification, a different way to register. When it comes to international, very similar process. The only difference there is I think there's just limitations on who we can do business with because now we're compliant, we're registered. We have to play by the books of okay, the United States says we don't do business with this country, that's blacklisted, this is blacklisted. So with an AML policy, we just got to abide by that. But for the most part, everything's pretty much free game. You can set up an account, you can get into real estate, and this is just real estate held by a business that owns the properties as a business in the United States.
Sounds like a lot of paperwork.
It really is. At the end of the day, it's just a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I don't envy you at all. Now the really interesting mechanism here is because it's being fractionalized. I have that asset. I can use my crypto wallet to purchase the asset. Now, this is the bit I don't understand. Like, if I lose that wallet, do I lose my right to the property? Because I know there's all these extra steps for the legality sides of things. I'll probably be signing documents as well. How does that link come into play? And what happens if I do lose my wallet? Do I lose my share of the asset?
So we actually thought of that ahead of time. I was very adamant with a lot of devs, and a lot of people were like, that doesn't sound like something I want to build, or they didn't really have a clear vision to do it. But luckily, I found Avatar Nick, who owns Saturn NFT, and we were pioneering a different style of smart contract on the Cardano blockchain, where you will be operating out of Whimsy, very similar if you're working out of Coinbase, you're working out of Kraken, or some other centralized exchange. You would be requesting the transitions, the sales, the purchases through Whimsy, and then we would execute them on your behalf. That keeps everything cohesive. So if there's ever a moment that you say you lose your account or you get hacked or you get phished and someone takes into your account, we can claw that account right back and you won't have to lose any of your assets. The assets are in control of Whimsy in that moment. It is a little bit centralized, but it would be more painful to get hacked and lose maybe $100,000 worth of property than to, let go of some of that control and have your own self-custody in that moment. Now, the way that it operates, it still looks like it's in your wallet. It still operates between you and selling to other people, as long as it's through the platform or they are members of the platform. So if myself and you wanted to trade property and I was like, hey, I like that place in Belize better than that place in Hawaii, I'll swap with you. We could do that because we're both members of Whimsy, and there's a way to track that on our end, on the Whimsy side, because we would have to then take that information, pass that on to our broker agents and our also transfer agents so that the ownership does change names.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty interesting. I was going to go into how liquid this market would be to be able to buy, sell, and trade the fractionalized ownership of the properties. So it does sound like it is, but you do have to do it through your own, through the Whimsy platform. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what it sounds like.
And it's just the nature of Cardano, right? Because we're pioneering a new form of smart contract that's very similar to like an ECR20, but it's not the see all end all and then controls that you could do on Ethereum based on Cardano, because Cardano is obviously EUTXO, and the way that the transactions are signed and how the responsibility of where that asset is held is really who dictates what happens with it. Because it all via smart contracts and we have a lot of transfer protocols and functionality in the way that we handle these assets, at the end of the day, you still do have to go through Whimsy to make those transactions. But that also gives us an extra benefit that you're not, doing things erroneously with somebody we can't do business with, so we don't get shut down. But also, it doesn't get these, because we are doing FTs instead of NFTs. These fungible tokens aren't just going to get listed on I don't know, min swap or something, and the price of these tokens, inflate to like 3 or 4 times the actual property value, and then they get lost or locked over there somewhere else, right? So it does give us some bit of control over the assets themselves, so that they do still stay within the same price ranges. Because we do check, the valuations with our broker partners on like House Canary or with Zillow or where we get our data from. And as we calculate that with them, we want to make sure that the market is accurate. So if somebody does give you an offer, it's fair. Or if they're lowballing you, you at least know you're being lowballed.
All right, super interesting. The mechanics of this is quite different to what most people are used to. I did hear a little bit of a glimpse from Nick about this smart contract. I did ask him about it, and he goes, "Yeah, I got something in the pipeline. I've got something working here." And obviously, this is a project that he was building it for. So that's really good to hear that he's working on Whimsy Estate with you guys. So it's definitely a good developer there behind.
He's been a pleasure to work with. I love working with him.
Yeah. Does he sleep? I don't know. So
I don't know, but he answers the messages at crazy hours. So I hope he does.
All right, brilliant. So how long are you guys from launching? It sounds like you've done a lot of development here. It sounds like you've done a lot of the legal side of things. When's the potential launch date for all of this?
So potential, I'm really hoping for sometime in Q2. I'm hoping early Q2. That'd be fantastic. Maybe sometime in April. But we are at the mercy of the U.S. government, and as you know, they love to drag their feet with everything. So as we're building up the platform and everything's looking pretty good, we don't really have any major concerns for the MVP to be launched in that time frame. We're just at the mercy of the legalities of things. Hopeful for Q2, definitely 2024.
The last question I'll ask is, how can people get involved, and how does the mechanics of people getting involved? The main thing is you need properties as well, right? So are people going to fund this first and then you go a property, or are you guys purchasing a property and people then fractionalizing it by coming in afterwards?
So it's going to be a mix, right? Because right now what I did is I've already gone ahead just with my own personal capital. I went and purchased land in Belize. And it's a 9,700 square feet. It's about 10-minute ride from Secret Beach, the worst kept secret in all of Belize, on Embriagis Cay. A beautiful location. Was there for a week, obviously to buy land, to do business, and to understand what kind of shops, what kind of malls, what kind of stores, what kind of restaurants, all that stuff. And I think we found a really great spot. It's in a great location. We made some good people in the locals to, when the property's done, they're going to be able to look at it, take care of it and everything with us, hire some locals. And that's just one way that we're going to do it, is just by buying the land, and then we saw the opportunity to build the resort so that we're funding the actual project to build the resort on top of it. And I've already got architects and I've already got people drawing up the blueprints for that. Luckily, we found another guy he saved us so much more money. I love this man. It went from like just $760,000 for the solar, the generators, and just getting like the plumbing going, to maybe $200K. And this is between both properties. And I'm like, this is godsend. But as we build that kind of new construction, it's really, we're going to source out the land and then we're going to build on top. And that building, that business, that's what we're really fractionalizing, but the property comes along with it. The other side is existing properties. We want to go into more duplex-based properties. Like, a duplex of a 2-unit or 4 units, nice. But because that we have the potential to really scale this and we can get a lot of people involved, we definitely have the potential to, bring in 100 or 1,000 people with $100. And they buy a couple of shares, we can get into a 12-unit, 20, 50, 100 door kind of property, where it really scales and it makes a lot more sense financially. And that's really the goal, is to be able to find what already exists, purchase them, or build new opportunities for the platform.
I'm looking forward to checking out this brand new property in Belize that you're talking about there, and seeing what you guys come up with. Amazing. So, yeah, maybe I can come visit one day. All right. How can people find out more information about getting on board?
So you can find us on Whimsy_Estates on X, not Twitter anymore, with lots of information there. We have our first commercial that's been launched. We have a breakdown of all the things about what we're doing in Belize, the costing, the buildings themselves, 3D models of them, and even some of the tourism and what that looks like for the short-term rentals. All on the platform there. And then if you want to go to whimsy.xyz, we are live, but it's mostly more for education before we do have a full launch where you'll be able to see properties, actually buy some tokens, and get involved in real estate. And definitely make sure to check out the light paper. The Whimsy light paper is out now. It has a good deal of information based on our approach, the legalities, as well as some of our plans for the U.S. market, as well as some of our global strategies.
Brilliant. I'll put the links down below in the show notes where everyone can get access to all of that. Thank you, Eddie, for joining me and talking through Whimsy Estate.
Love it. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.